Hello everyone, Fanty here. You're watching Fantavision, and today I am discussing all of the departments at Walmart that I worked at and what they were like. Now, I may have covered parts of these in other episodes, and maybe I covered most of them, but it was scattered over like a year and a half of doing this, maybe 2 years. So I kind of wanted to do a recap because I'm constantly asked in the comment section by a lot of people, what were the other departments like? So I'm just going to go ahead and just scrunch all of those into this episode. So it's easily found in the future if anybody wants to know what it was like working in the different departments. Because even though I was hired as an electronics employee, I had to work everywhere. I had to work at not only electronics, I had to work wireless, I had to work at Pickup Today, I had to work in toys, I had to work in paint occasionally, I had to work in the sporting goods department, I had to work at the cashier, I had to work wireless. Is that it? That might be it. That's still a lot though. I mean, that's like 8 different departments, and I only got paid for one. I mean, it'd be awesome if they just took the high. I guess that's how they paid me. But anyway, so you know, what'd be really cool is if they took all those department pays and just squished them all together. So I got that too, but they're not gonna do that. Real quick, today I'm drinking Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. It's like the Isla Scotch of beers because it's really herbal. It's like really intense with all these flavors that not everyone's gonna like. A lot of earth tones, like I said, herbal, with a little bit of sweetness at the end. And it's 9% alcohol. So there you go. Sometimes you need a little extra kick, and this week I definitely do. So booyah. So let's go ahead and start with electronics because that's where I spent the most time. And I've talked about electronics to death. But it's been a long time since I've actually talked about Walmart, so let's just give a quick overview of electronics, and then we'll dive into the other departments just so you can kind of, refresh yourself as to what it was like in electronics. So electronics included printers, it included photo, which was actually another department, but I had to work there anyway, so I guess that's another one to the list. So what is that, 9 departments? And video games, and just general electronics, really. I mean, if you think about anything that has anything to do with electronics, it was in there except for like alarm clocks. So TVs, DVD players, Blu-ray players, stuff like that. And it was just all in that department. And because all of that stuff is one area, and a lot of that stuff is junk, we had a lot of very clueless people coming in, wandering around, not really knowing anything about whether it be antennas or what 4K means or anything like that. Which is fine. Not everybody knows what 4K is, and antennas are kind of a newer thing. I know it's like an old thing, but it's now become new again because people are buying antennas to get local channels to cancel their cable subscriptions and then just use Netflix and stuff like that, and then have the antenna for local news and sports on some of the channels, which is what my dad does. You save money, you screw up the cable company, there you go. So I basically just covered all that, and when they moved the wireless department in, I guess I'll just cover wireless real quick. When they moved the wireless into electronics, we had to do phone activations, and we had to deal with people that didn't know how to turn off and on their phone. I kid you not. I mean, I did a whole episode about that area, and it's ridiculous. The amount of, I'm not even talking about old people with smartphones not figuring that out. That was a whole other thing. It was basically like to give them a class, a several hour long class on how to use a smartphone. And I get it. They're difficult for the elderly, but good Lord, there needs to be some sort of extra resource outside of Walmart for the elderly to figure out their smartphone. I feel like in their retirement communities, they should have that as like some elective class that they can take during the day, so they can figure out how to use their phones. They can call the 3 people that they're going to call. When that was separated, I loved going to wireless. Despite all the issues with billing and stupid people that don't know their own phone numbers and people that don't know how to turn on their phones and all that stuff, it was relaxing. It was a dark environment, but they've since shut that down and made that like a nail salon. But when they moved it to electronics, it was a pain in the ass because now we had one less cash register because people were constantly, having to do stuff with phones, and they were tying up the phone there at the cash register because they were setting up phones, which took forever. And you've just got a bunch of people all huddled around the cash register, blocking the rest of the department. So that, I don't get that. I talked about that in the stupid renovations video. It didn't make any sense to me. I don't get why they needed that nail salon place. I feel like having wireless separate from electronics made a lot of sense. I get where they're coming from. They want it to be not as quiet of an area because, like I said, a lot of the time wireless, there was nothing to do. But at the same time, there's not a whole lot to do in electronics because, even most people are not super clueless, so they know what they want. They're just going to grab it and go back to the front and cash out. Sometimes I'd stop people and go, hey, do you want me to ring you up here? But I stopped doing that because people were usually just grocery shopping as well. So unless they're buying a video game or something that was locked up, most of the time we just point them to where to go, and that was that. Super simple. Photo. I loved photo because you have to look through every picture to make sure it's not like porn of any sort or any illegal activities. So it was interesting to see where people go on vacations and pretend to be the NSA for a day. It was interesting. Also, to do with electronics, go backs, Pickup Today, they kind of just gave us Pickup Today, even though... So Pickup Today is, I don't know what the hell they call it now, but it used to be when people would order online. So the order online things, and then you go around, you find the item, you pick it, you tag it, and you put it in the back, so when somebody comes to pick it up, you just bring it to them. There you go. That was my favorite because you got to just kind of walk around the store and look for stuff, and it was kind of like an Easter egg hunt, but you're in Walmart, so you're not like happy or anything. And it got you away from having to deal with anybody. You didn't have to like help hapless customers or have to deal with coworkers that you don't want to talk to. You could grab one of your coworker buddies that you don't hate and say, oh, I need help with this, and they could just pretend to be helping you. Or you just go off and do it on your own when you're stuck there alone and don't want to deal with anyone. The toys department, you don't really have to do much in. It's just a pain in the ass to clean because toys equals children and children equals mess. So all of the stuff was just scattered everywhere. I didn't have to deal with it most of the time because that wasn't my department. I would just go over there sometimes to either help clean or escape electronics or look for something to do, because that was the name of the game at Walmart, looking for something to do. That's why I was in so many of these freaking departments, was because not doing something made the day drag horribly. And I know that's like the antithesis to what a lot of people want to do. They want to do nothing. But if you're going to do nothing, you're just going to be pacing back and forth like a crazy person. You don't want to be doing that. So instead, you just go off and find other things to do, and toys department is one of those things. So I'd just clean up the toys department, and sometimes I'd try to help people find stuff in there, but it wasn't my department, so I was kind of clueless, and I was just kind of meandering around with them trying to find the product. Sporting goods. They were going to teach me how to sell firearms and give hunting licenses, but I never worked there that many times where I had to learn that. They might have shown me once, but I didn't remember because I never had to do it again. And I was usually just covering lunches over there, and that had to be the most boring department ever because it's never really dirty or messed up, because the people that are over there really aren't there for that long, and if they are, they're adults, and most of the time they just put the stuff back. So in that department, I would just kind of stand there and look at the guns and go, oh, that's a cool Mossberg. Do I need to buy a shotgun? That was the sort of thing I had going through my head because I was just so freaking bored in that department. I did like that it felt a little bit quieter over there. It seemed like the lights weren't as bright, and there was a lot less like ambient awful noise because you don't have the TVs constantly blaring commercials over and over and over. So the sound of silence over there was just nice. Like I felt a lot more relaxed. It felt like the wireless area. Not nearly as good because you can't sit down and just mess around on your phone as easily, but it was kind of a nice, relaxing environment. Paint sucked. Paint was awful. It's just paint. Like, it's boring. They call it watching paint dry. I'm not doing that, but I'm staring at paint sitting there. That department is always a mess though, so I guess you've got something to do because people are always putting light bulbs in the wrong area. They'll just take it off one and go, oh, this kind of looks like the same one, even though they just picked it up, and I don't know what they're doing, but they didn't never put the tools in the right spot again. So I did at least have something to do there, but I hated that department. It was just boring, and you had to like ID people for spray paint, and I know that's not big of a deal, but the locks were finicky, and there's like 60 billion keys at that point, because usually if I'm covering paint, I'm also covering the sporting goods department. So I have like so many sets of keys, like my pants are falling down. At that point, I'm not having it, you know? I'd rather be in just sporting goods or somewhere else. Not a huge fan of paint. It was boring. Oh, another department, crafts. I did crafts department. That was always a huge mess. Like yarn would be everywhere. I think that was the birth of the meme, just yarn. Oh no, that was the Black Friday episode. But yeah, I mean, we just look around and there's all these little knickknacks, little tiny things. There's needles all over the floor, like you're in some like back alley. It's just, oh man, it's a mess with how many small things are in crafts. That's the main thing. Yarn, you just put it where the other color is. But besides that, I mean, it's just a boring department. You've at least got some stuff to do, but when you run out, you're staring at yarn. That was the nice thing about electronics, was you could stare at video games, you could look at the different products, you could look at the DVDs. Oh, what do they have today? Oh, what Blu-rays are coming out? You had stuff to look at when it was dead. But crafts, nobody really needed help in crafts when I was working in there. They were just kind of silently going through, do you need any help? And they kind of look at me like, please don't talk to me. And I kind of look at them like, I understand. And then I left them alone. So crafts was just, nah. I mean, it's not as bad as paint, but it was still not great. Garden. I don't know how many of these I listed in my like 8 departments, and I'm probably going to miss a bunch. But garden. I liked the garden, unless it was really hot out. And then I did not like garden. But if you're working at garden during the time of year where it's like in the 70s, 80s, even the 60s, yeah, 60s, it's fine. It's great. I love it. Especially at nighttime. It's so peaceful in there. I don't remember, I think the music was a little bit quieter in there. There was no ambient awful noises. Like sometimes the fan would kick on, but besides that, that was my place where I went during break. I would just go hang out under the gazebos and just chill. And normally nobody was in there. And if they needed help with something, they were usually just really relaxed because they're looking at plant crap. They're not in a hurry. Who cares? Like they're getting like soil and stuff. Or they were getting a Christmas tree. Like it was never a huge deal. So I always loved that area. The only time I really didn't love that area is when they stuck me on cashier. I didn't really know how to use the cash register. Nobody really told me how to do anything. I just had to figure it out on the fly. I know it's super easy, but there's all these little finicky things that of course happen, or items won't scan and you have to look it up, and I'm like, I don't know how to look up items. But besides that day when I got super busy everywhere, where they're just sending people out to garden to, you know, take care of the lines that were inside because there's only 3 people in cash registers in the entire store that has like 50 cash registers. What is up with that? Thank God they started doing the whole self-checkout thing. There's so many self-checkout things, and it's awesome. They only need like one person to look over like 9 self-checkouts. It's awesome. It's so cool. They need to do that in every store because it makes it so much easier. There are so many slow, useless people that are not only working there, but people that don't work there that are customers that are taking up just like a whole lane, slowly moving things out of their cart, reorganizing the things in the belt like it matters. Oh, no. So if you've got like 9 of those going at once and you only need one person look over it, speeds up the process big time. And I feel like the garden department is not going to have to deal with that kind of crap anymore because of those self-checkouts. Regular cashier I hated because you just have to constantly be dealing with people, and people just seem to complain a lot about their own cards not working, which is really frustrating. I'm not making your card not work. It's all you. Just saying. I don't know why you're getting mad at me because your card's getting rejected. It's not my fault. It's really not my fault. Even if it's the machine's fault, I didn't make the machine. Why are you taking it out on me? Don't really understand that. But hated it. You're inside. You've got the whole blasting of all the ambience in the store. You've got the electronics TV. You know, all of those TVs are facing the front of the store, and they just carry on over the cash registers. You've got the music full volume. it's like it's a way worse garden. It's probably my second least favorite. That actually, you know what? That might be my least favorite. I'd rather be in paint than be at the cashier area. I don't know how people did that. I really don't. People are sitting there, or people are just standing there, not even sitting there. They're standing there all day, just going like this. And bagging things. Like, I would lose my mind. I mean, at least I can zone out and get all zen when I'm putting stuff away and I'm fixing up areas and I can see that it's clean and something has been accomplished. I get a sense of accomplishment in the other departments. As sad as that is at Walmart, I get a sense of accomplishment as I'm getting the place cleaner. But if you're working in cashier, your job is never done. It's just this infinite loop of people all day. You've not even accomplished anything. You've done zero things. It's not even like GameStop when you're on the register. You're interacting with a customer. You're talking about video games. You're doing stuff. This is nothing. This is just going like this all day and bagging things. And now that it's a self-checkout thing, it must be even worse for the people because, yeah, they're not having to deal with the whole checkout problems, and now they have to deal with multiple card issues out there. They have to deal with like the thing not scanning right, the thing's not weighing things right, having complications with the different transactions. I guess you're not just standing in one place, but I don't know, if nothing's going wrong, you're not doing anything. You're just staring at a bunch of people check themselves out. Which sounds weird now that I say it, but that's all you're doing. So I feel like the whole thing to take away from this is the worst job at Walmart is to do nothing. Or, on the opposite end, doing just a constant amount of nothing. I feel like being a cashier is like doing nothing because you're not really accomplishing anything. You're not seeing anything get finished. It's just never ending, you know? And then the opposite over in paint where you're just doing nothing. So either doing nothing or doing constantly something repetitive and boring. Those are the two worst things to be doing at Walmart. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is definitely that pick up today thing because it's a constant variety of where you're going in the store. So you're seeing different parts. You're not having to deal with people. You're basically an Amazon driver. You're an in-store Amazon driver for people. And I feel like that has to be the best part. Now Eric has said that the worst job is the grocery part of that. The person that finds all that crap and then takes it to people's cars outside, which is probably the same position now. We didn't have that back then. Maybe it's a worse position now. Maybe the best position, that might just be electronics. I don't know. Maybe, or photo. Photo's the best. Photo was always the best. Never mind. I take that all back. Photo was the best. I love that. Just like you're doing things, like you're making canvases, you're printing out photos and organizing them, you're helping people with their photos, you're being the NSA. What's better than being the NSA? You know, you're constantly being spied on all day. You might as well spy on other people and get paid to do it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of what you think your favorite department would be or your favorite department at the store that you worked at. Like the video if you guys liked it. And as always, subscribe for more content. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys.